Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about teaching you how to create print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do stick around. So in today's video, we're going to be going over how to create this design right here. It's really just a sunset that fades out. I did show you one other video on how to create fades. In that video, we did use a blur technique, which uses some transparent elements. Some of you had asked how well those print. Obviously, transparent elements are not going to print as good as solid elements. So I did want to show you an alternative way to do this. So using this method, we're going to use more of a dot fade. And so we won't be using any blur and we won't be using any transparency, but you can get the same general effect and it's going to print a lot better. So if this is something that you'd like to learn how to do, go ahead and stick around. So as always, we're going to start with our blank background. It is 4500 by 5400 pixels, and I have gone ahead and selected a black background color to go ahead and design on. For today's video, we are going to be doing something very similar to what we did before. It's kind of going to be a fade design. Only a few of you had asked when we're doing fades if using transparency will print well. And of course the answer to that is no, transparency will not print as well as a solid print. It doesn't stop people from doing it. I have seen plenty of, transparency fades on Amazon that are top sellers. But an easy way to get around that would be, instead of using a transparency fade, to use more of a solid dot fade. That way we're still using solid colors, we're just doing a fade using smaller and smaller dots. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. It's pretty easy and it's similar to what we've done before, only you're going to be doing a different search here. So when I come up to my left hand corner where it says elements, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to type in halftone dots, and I'll show you what that does. So if you put in halftone dots, and we go ahead and we're going to search by graphics for this, you're going to see a lot of different graphics pop up, and what they're going to look like, I'm going to pull this one up. I'm going to have to change the color so you can see it. But as I blow this up, what you're going to see is that this is made up of just individual dots. Now these are solid dots, so they will print just fine. And what you're going to have is larger dots in the center, fading out to smaller dots. And so there's a lot of different, obviously different options that you can choose from, depending on how solid you want the center to be. If you want your design to be a little bit more spaced out, then some of these are fine. Others are going to give you more of a solid look. So something like that's going to give you more of a solid look. What I do like to do if I'm really trying to get a solid center, like if I'm going to put a face or a design in there and I want a solid center that fades out, is I will start overlapping these, or just sort of layering them. That way I can get the center a little bit more solid and the background still fading out pretty good. So for example, if I stick one of these right in the center, I'm going to stick the other one in the center in front of that. And I can start doing something like that to make the center more and more solid and to make the outside more and more faded. And so you can look, they'll have these in different shapes and different sizes and different patterns that you can use. Some are going to be a lot more like fine dots, and some are going to be a lot more solid. And again, it doesn't matter what color you use. If you're going to do this over a clipping mask over it, it doesn't matter what the color is at all, because the color will just be covered up on a clipping mask. So for example, I can do this orangey one right here, doesn't matter. And so that's going to give me a good, pretty solid center. And you'll see just little dots, and they're just going to dot their way out. Now I went ahead and already looked through this and came up with some ones that I wanted to use. You can take your time, look through all of them, figure out what options are available to you and how it's going to work with your particular project. So you can see there's just a whole lot of variations and different ones and styles that you can choose from. I already picked some, so I've got some below me here that I had already picked. So if I was to just get rid of what's up here, and I'll drag up what I had to begin with. So here's a nice solid one, very similar to what I just had up. I want it to go ahead and fill the entire page. Now this design here isn't actually centered. You can see if I put it right there, it's not going to be in the center. A good way to center things if you're unsure is to use your guidelines. There's guidelines at the top and the side. If you don't have these pulled up, all you have to do is come up to the left-hand corner where it says File, click on that, and it'll say Show Rulers and Guides, and you click on that, and that's what's going to give you your little guidelines. So I can bring over a guideline by clicking on the side and then dragging it to the right, and I can center it. And once I have that centered, it's going to be a little bit easier to try to make my circles sort of more centered as good as I can. Oops. So even that still doesn't look very centered. I'm going to bring it a little bit more. Oops, keeps moving me out of the way there. So that looks a little bit better. And so I'm going to just keep layering. So that's going to be my base layer. And then I found this really cool design here. This isn't actually dots, it's still solid lines, but if I was to zoom in really close, it's almost more like sprinkles or little flecks. So again, these are solid lines, and so they'll print solid, and there's no fade, but they're going to give you that faded look as they start to get smaller and smaller and farther away. So as I zoom down, I'm just going to go ahead and start layering some of these, so I can layer this one right on top of the other one. Perfect, something like that. And I think I had 2 of these. I was layering 2 on top of the others. And if I just offset them a little bit so that they're not right on top of each other, or rotate it just a little bit, what you can do is get a little bit more solid centered. Oops, moving that out of the way. So I can rotate this, and as I rotate it, I'm gonna get slightly different areas that are solid and slightly different areas that are going to show through. So again, these are circles. You can play with them all you want. So something like that. I'm going to put my guideline back in the middle. And then I had one more I was going to use. And this one had very fine dots. But again, it didn't have a very solid center. So I can take the fine dots, layer it on top. Again, just doing the same thing. And once I've got it about where I want it, let's just take the guideline out so we can see. So this is what I'm ending up with. It's a circle that's pretty solid in the middle, and then the dots get smaller and smaller on the way out, and it's going to look like it fades, only it won't be a transparency fade this time. It will be a dotted fade, so this is going to print a lot better, but you are going to get those little circles. So what I would do if I wanted to put a clipping mask on this is, again, I'm just going to title this, let's say, dot fade frame, and I would go ahead then and download this, and I'm going to download this. This is just page 1. I've got several pages on this. I'm going to download just page 1. It's going to be a transparent background, and I'm going to start with just the download, and then I'm going to pick my picture that I want to put in it. I've showed you this with animal faces, but again, you can use anything you want. So this time around, I'm not going to do the animal face. I think I'm going to do something more like a tropical sunset. I did already, again, look at some of these before. I'm going to go ahead and clear up here. So I'm still at my elements, and I'm going to just go ahead and search. I can put tropical sunset, and I can put beach or whatever it is I want to search for. This time I do want photos. And so as I'm coming down my tropical sunset photos, you can see there's a lot of different things to choose from. I like some of the beachy scenes look really good. There's one that looks really good. And so again, you can pick anything that you want. I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm just going to use this just to keep it real simple right here. That one looks nice too. But let's say I decide I'm going to pick this one. And what I'm going to do is, oops, go back. Stretch out my picture so that it covers my entire frame. It does have to cover the entire frame. And once you have it covering the entire frame, you can use the transparency now just to make sure that everything is lined up. So if I click transparency and I bring the transparency way down, now I can go ahead and make sure my photo's lined up the way I want it. So if I wanted the sun more centered or whatnot, I could do that. I will have to play with the size again to make sure that everything is covered. So if I did something like that, again, everything's covered. I can bring out the transparency, and now if I was to do this, I can get a nice cool tropical fade. This isn't the best picture. I do have some other pictures that I like better. That was just the first one I came across. This one would actually work better here because the sun's a little bit higher. So I do like the way this one looks better. So again, I can crop it down. I can stretch this one out so it looks like it's going to cover the whole thing. Bring it up. Bring the transparency down so I can see where everything is lining up. It's looking good. Maybe I bring it up just a little bit so I get a little bit more of those palm trees in there. So that actually, I think that's the one I'm going to go with. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this picture. I'm going to change the name, of course, so that I know what everything is. And so this is just going to be Palm Tree Sunset. Perfect. And again, this one doesn't have to have a transparent background. It can, but it doesn't have to. If you're working with more than one page, be sure that you select the page that you want, and then we will just download that. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Photopea. If you haven't been watching any of the recent videos, Photopea is just another website. It's a lot like any of the other photo editing websites, but it is totally free. You don't have to create an account. You don't have to put in any kind of credit card information. You literally just type Photopea into your browser and you can open up a page that looks just like this. From here, if you click on open from your computer, you can bring up your downloads, and now you can just go ahead and select your dot frame that you just made. And so we'll just go ahead and open that. And so it's going to pull up my dot frame right here. So this is the faded dots that we just made. And now what I want to do is go ahead and put my sunset over the top. To do that, I'm going to go to the left-hand corner where it says File. I'm going to scroll down about 3 spots, hit Open and Place. It's going to pull up my downloads again. This time I'm going to select my Palm Tree Sunset and click Open. Give it a second and it's going to pull that up. So now this is the top layer, and you can see your layers over on the right-hand side. You've got your Palm Tree Sunset on top. Your background layer is your dot layer. So now from here, I'm just going to go ahead and do a clipping mask, really easy. I'm going to come back up to the top. I'm going to go over to where it says Layer, and then down about halfway, it's going to say Clipping Mask. And so if you click on Clipping Mask, it will do all the work for you, and now my sunset has been layered into my frame. And then from here, I can just go ahead and download it. So to do that, I'm just going to go back up to File in the left-hand corner. Click that. About halfway down, you'll see something that says Export As. From here, I can go ahead and export this as a PNG. And if I give it a second, another box will pop up. There it is. From here, I can go ahead and retitle it if I want to. So it'll say name up top. So I can title it whatever I want. Let's say Dot Sunset. I can play with the quality here. Right now, I don't have it set at 100. You can set it at 100, but sometimes some of the larger images will be too large to then download back to Canva. So it just depends how big your photo is. But I'm going to just go ahead and click Save right here. It will download it, and then I can just literally jump right back over to Canva. So here I am back on Canva. I can get rid of that. And now I'm going to go down. I have a second page open here, so this is just my blank page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the image that I just created from Photopea. So if you've got it up, you can drag and drop. Otherwise, if you go to Uploads here on the left-hand corner and you put Upload Files, it will pull up your downloads. You can collect your dots or select your dot sunset, click Open, and it should start downloading it. You can see right here, I went ahead and closed this so you could see this circle here is filling up with what looks like a blue fluid. Once it is full, it means that your image is fully downloaded, and then you can do any kind of photo editing you want on it if you want to do photo editing. So it'll show all the way full once it's downloaded. I'll show you. So now it's gone. If I went to Uploads, it's going to be there. I can drag and drop from my Uploads, and I can close that. And then here is my faded sunset. So I can pull that out. And there you go. So there is your cool faded sunset look. It's gonna, obviously it looks good on black because it's kind of fading into the black, but if I was to change the background color, which I can do here, just so that you can see that's what it would look like on white, or on blue, or on more of an orangey color, so you can kind of see the fade. Most of these fades will look better on black. And again, black being the #1 selling t-shirt color, that's great. If you want to just offer it on black, you can. You don't even need to offer it on other colors unless it looks good. But that's how you would go ahead and get a nice fade look without having to use any transparency or any blur, so that will print nice. Again, if I was to zoom way into this, it's going to give me a little bit of that grunge look where you can see it kind of coming through. You can see the dots and the different grunges, and then all the way out to the very end, these are just individual little dots that will print just like individual little dots on the shirt. So again, you won't get any kind of a hard line, and it will print pretty nicely. So this is just another option for that blur technique to get a nice fade or gradient in your images. And again, you can do this in different shapes or different styles. And so that's just what I wanted to show you today. If you have any other questions about this technique, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. I'll try to get back to them as quickly as I can. Like with a lot of the other techniques, it does take a little bit of practice and playing around. You're going to want to really look through all of your elements and see what's available to you. There are literally hundreds of thousands of elements available, so sometimes it takes a little bit of searching and knowing what is available to use. A lot of the designs I'm going to show you coming forward are just really easy things to make as long as you know where to look and what you're looking for. So I hope you found this video useful, and I hope to see you again. So that's it for today's video. I hope you found this useful, and if you would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.